One piece of work. By the way, Customs and Border Protection reporting 203,957 encounters in August. A number of illegal crossings to 4.4 million under Joe Biden, including over 850,000 gotaways who've escaped into the U.S. That's what they think anyway. So they did just estimate that number. Now, what makes it even worse is there's been enough fentanyl seized. This, again, is the stuff they got. This is what's killing Americans. There's been enough fentanyl seized in August for more than 500 lethal doses. That's enough to kill every man, woman, and child, and a little bit extra in the United States. In August alone. According to Biden's DEA, Mexican cartels are smuggling fentanyl into the U.S., killing Americans at record rates like we've never seen before. And this guy, Sheriff Javi's out there politically posturing, using these people as pawns, and claiming that DeSantis is doing so. Well, it's disgusting. Biden and his administration doing the very same thing. There are real-life people caught in the balance of this. It's these border policies that are leading these people to come here, getting them stuck in the middle of all this. It's these same border policies that are not only putting our lives at risk, but it's putting those people's lives at risk as well. The human trafficking that's occurring at the border, the drug trafficking that's occurring at the border, that puts every single one of us at risk. And it is absolutely disgusting. It's horrific. The borders are not secure, particularly the southern border, not secure, even though Kamala Harris, the Veep, would word salad you into thinking that that's the case. Biden's DEA administrator says, no, not so fast. In fact, she said it on CBS. It is just that it's not just the drugs that are being trafficked. It's the people as well. And sadly, unfortunately, the worst part about this whole thing, they're kids. They're women being raped along the way. Some of the things, some of the truth, the stories that are happening down the border, you're just not hearing it because it just wouldn't be politically expedient. The stories are getting out. This DeSantis thing is exploding in their face. They're doing everything that they can to attack him, to come against him. And I tell you, I think they got another thing coming, but they can't secure the borders. How in the heck are they supposed to secure elections? We'll talk about that next. Coming up with Patrick Colbeck. He's joining us in just moments. An election integrity update. Securing the elections as we swiftly approach this 2022 midterm election. Lots of folks talking about this. He'll share a little bit more in person tonight. Here in West Michigan, we'll share where you can see him, the Ottawa County Patriots meeting, coming up after this.
Breaking down the story. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Live free with Jacobs Financial.
At what point do you know if your current financial...
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Okay, can you people hear me or no? I'm seeing no sound. Is that me or was that just a video clip that I played? Sometimes this software is weird and will do that, but no sound from the video, Ladina says. We'll see if we can fix that. Can't make any promises, but I will do my best. I don't know why that is happening. It sounds like it's a software issue. I will try to fix it. I will try to fix it, folks. Stand by. Hang in there with me. They can't keep us down. Patrick Colbeck, welcome in. Good morning. How are you?
Top of the morning to you.
And never a dull moment around these parts.
No, I'm looking forward to some dull moments one of these days.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, you're right in the middle of it, the center of the storm. Folks, can you hear Patrick? I want to make sure. Randy says audio's fine. Sounds great. Video only, but you're kind of broke. I'm kind of broken. Oh, no.
I guess Neil Sedaka was lying.
Can you hear Patrick, though? Bruce said it was a little. Yeah. Okay, good. All right. We can see you. We can hear you, Pat. Hang on 1 second. I know you probably have something juicy for us. Stand by. You always do.
It's because every day there's new evidence coming out.
No. Well, no shortage, that's for sure. No shortage. Stand by, folks. Patrick Colbeck on with us in just moments. Bum, 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 bum. Boom. And don't forget his book is out, 2022. I'm bringing mine tonight to get it signed, Patrick, just so you know.
I'll bring a few extra, too, just for fun.
I bought mine from because you had posted a link Mike Lindell's site, and I thought, well, I can support both you guys at once.
Yeah,
that's cool. But I know you'll have them there, so if people want to come and get them signed, they can come and buy the book and get it signed tonight. Support Patrick and his work.
Thanks, Justin. Yeah, it's always good to support Mike too, though.
Absolutely. Well, you guys are both at the forefront. Hang on, folks. Here we go. Join the program at any time. 616-774-2424. Oh, yes. And you can jump on the talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app. Simply click that microphone, right? And sound off. Rant, rave, ask questions, anything you'd like to do. We'll get those right to us. Patrick Colbeck joins us right now, former Michigan State Senator, investigating election security and looking at the latest. Patrick, thanks for joining us today. How are you?
Oh, it's good to be with you, and I'm honored to be with you tonight as well.
Never a dull moment. Patrick will be with us at the Ottawa County Patriots event happening tonight, Lighthouse Baptist in Holland. Details on that coming in just a moment. You can find out more at ottawacountypatriots.org. We'll put it up in the stack today, too.
You know, I just noticed, I'm going to be speaking with two governor candidates that I had voted for in the past. We got Pete Hoekstra and we got Ryan Kelly.
And you'll be there as a gubernatorial candidate and I voted for all three. So how about that?
You got the trifecta going. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Well, no, let's be honest. Let's be completely honest here. We've got a score of people that are, getting together to fight the fight. And this happens quite a bit, right? You get people who are lined up. You may not hear about it as much, but, Patrick, you're seeing it on a daily basis. People are stepping up, much like yourself, getting involved in all of this. And it's important because we need more folks. And I don't know what you're called to do. Spread the word, share this video, share this message that we're talking about on the radio. Maybe you grab a couple of copies of Patrick's book and you hand those out to people. Or maybe you get involved in the fight in other ways. We've seen attorneys step up in legal battles. We've seen folks step up and just
canvassing. There's been canvassers all over the place, and they've had to weather assaults on canvassers. So it's been there's a lot of what I call meddling kids stepping up all over the country. We've got on the national level, of course, we got Mike Lindell we were just talking about, but also Catherine Engelbrecht and Greg Phillips. And there's a lot of good folks stepping up everywhere. And many parts, one body. Everybody's chiming in to do what they can.
Yeah, it really is, folks. And I got to tell you, Pat, it's much needed. Tonight, we're expecting a big, decent-sized crowd, so you want to get there early. We'll tell you more about that coming up in a little bit. Let's just talk election security. Can't secure the border. So how do we even think that we can get these elections? I mean, it's just wild to me, but this seems to be a theme of this administration. Everything wide open, not a problem. We're going to hear Tech Tuesday coming up again today, another big hack. This was Uber this time. So if these big companies who spend, millions and millions and millions on the security, making sure that things are locked down, they can't keep things secure. How do we expect the elections to be secure when they've really got the door wide open for a lot of this stuff? So where are we now? What's the latest? Because I know there's been quite a few shenanigans, even in recent days.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to give some good news that despite the fact that our legislators haven't done anything useful on this front, the people have been standing up, and we got a couple lawsuits that have been filed. One by Dan Hartman seeking to put an injunction on the use of those machines. That even CISA, the organization that's supposed to be guarding our cyber infrastructure, they've been hacked. So I just think that the elections are any more secure if the people trying to secure them are the ones who are getting hacked. The other lawsuit is against that's going to be coming out. I think this week is when we're shooting for it right now. It looks like it's almost ready to go. Deals with the unlawful directives that have been issued by Jocelyn Benson in her capacity as Secretary of State. Essentially, she's giving guidelines for poll challengers that aren't in compliance with Michigan law. And much like she did in the 2020 election, where she engaged in unlawful practices like the relaxation of signature verification requirements and the enforcement of these bogus 6-foot rules so that poll challengers couldn't observe what poll workers were working on. Those were both lawless acts. He's trying to do the same thing to the extreme of saying that poll challengers can't even take notes when they go into the polls and oversee the poll workers, so they can't keep track of all the ballots that are in process so far. It's just nuts. And there are specific laws that say you cannot interfere with the discharge of a poll challenger's duties, and those poll challenger duties are very explicitly defined. So that's the kind of games that are being played. We got a couple lawsuits that are being pushing there. We've also got heroes like Sheriff Darleaf, who's pursuing law enforcement investigation. So there's some good things happening on that front that I want to make sure everybody's aware of.
It's interesting to me. I've seen a lot lately about the back and forth about what can and can't be done and legally how things should and shouldn't work. And there's a lot of people jumping in to opine in this process, but it seems very clear to me the founders set up a process that should be, with everything else, checks and balances involved. We should have people available at all different levels to look at these things. And otherwise, why would certain things be in place? It would just be ceremonial. If you take the board of canvassers and things like that, or particularly like the legislature. There's a big argument right now whether or not legislatures should be involved in this process. And I think, well, why wouldn't they be involved? The more centralized you want to make this thing, the more control you put over it. It seems like the more susceptible it would be to shenanigans.
Well, bottom line is the more transparency we have over the process, the more confidence we're going to have in the results of those processes. So, And right now they're doing everything they can to eliminate transparency, and we've got to change that. There's a couple ballot proposals that are out there now, ballot proposal 2 and 3. 3 is the one that essentially I call it the Sodom and Gomorrah bill. It gets rid of all statutory authority to govern and regulate sex acts in the state. So that means age of consent law's gone, the whole 9 yards. I mean, complete.
Say that again, because that's really important. I don't think people understand this. It's not just parental consent over your child and what medical procedures they can have, radical extreme medical procedures that comes to gender things, jabbing your kids without permission, all kinds of things. But there's also, if you look at the legal language on this, it would take away age of consent for a child. It gives no age. It says individuals can do whatever they want with their bodies all the time. And that means if you're 5-year-old or you're 3-year-old or whatever, some sicko decided they wanted to be, well, they just, they consented. They said yes. It's disgusting.
The whole thing is just really, it's essentially, here's the key tenet of the act. It says states shall not penalize, prosecute, or otherwise take adverse action against an individual based upon their actual potential perceived or alleged pregnancy outcomes, including but not limited to miscarriage, stillbirth, abortion, nor shall the state penalize, prosecute, or take adverse action against somebody for aiding or assisting pregnant individual. So the idea is that they're talking about the actual act, any sexual act, whether or not it leads to pregnancy or not. So this is, this can
Even
be
folks who are
extrapolated.
pro-abortion are saying this goes too far.
This is ridiculous. So it's easy. Vote no on all the proposals. That's the easy thing to do. Even the term limit games that are being played. Vote no on all the statewide all the statewide candidates like Gretchen Whitmer and Dana Nessel and Jocelyn Benson. Vote no on those three, and vote no on the three proposals. It's real easy. And we've got groups like, yeah.
Can you hang for a second? I got to take a quick break for the news. Can you hang for a second? We'll talk with Pat when we come back. We got a Tech Tuesday lined up too. We'll get to all of it coming up in just a moment, folks. You can join us at 616-774-2424 talking about the event tonight, Clear and Present Dangers to America. Pat's one of the guests. Of course, you'll be able to see Lieutenant Colonel Denny Gillum there as well. I'll be there. Ryan Kelly be talking about those proposals. And Ambassador Pete Hoekstra will be there as well, sharing about the book that he's written, so the intelligence that he's seen and what our nation faces, those clear and present dangers that you just not going to hear about on the nightly news, folks. Back next. All right. Stand by, folks. All right. Here we go. Just had to clear something in the background off the air here. Pat, I don't know if you want to talk about Mike at all and what happened with him in the Hardee's drive-thru of all places. But now he's looking at suing the government, it looks like.
Yep, that should be filed today.
So Mike Lindell suing the government, and I've got some audio here, video. Let's see if you can hear this, folks. I'm going to play this for you. But he's out talking about suing the government, several different counts in case his rights violated. This from the weekend.
Okay, my lawyers and I got together the last couple days, and on Tuesday, we're suing the United States government and the FBI. We're suing them for violating our First Amendment rights, our Fourth Amendment rights, our Fifth Amendment rights, and our Sixth Amendment rights.
Good breaking news there, of course, from Mike Lindell. Pat, you've been talking to Mike, I'm sure, about this and various other things behind the scenes in his team.
It's kind of difficult to talk to him when he doesn't have his phone.
He can send smoke signals, or
I know I go through all of his admin assistants now, but bottom line is Mike's fighting it.
Ari's coming out with a new product. It's called My Phone, and
actually, that would be a great idea. I'll have to pass that by him here. We'll make sure you get some of the royalties.
But he does a lot of his work on the phone, doesn't he?
He doesn't
everything.
Have a computer. Literally. Yeah. I mean, I've seen him. Everything he does is from that phone. So we'll have a Zoom call. It's from the phone. Anytime he reads a document, it's on the phone. So it's no, he truly does focus in on that phone quite a bit.
So what happened? They came to him in the Hardee's drive-thru. Yeah. They wanted the phone. Why did they want the phone again? What was that about?
First of all, it's all about intimidation. And they did it in a very public way. They could have gone through his lawyers and asked him, said, we would like to get this phone. But instead, what we're seeing are a lot of brown shirt activities. And my wife used to laugh at me when I would watch all these documentaries on the prelude to war leading up to World War II. But I'm seeing the same trajectory for our nation as what was happening back then. But the thing is, what they don't realize is that they're going up against people that won't be intimidated, like myself, like Mike Lindell.
Is that the faith issue? Is it because I see that unfortunately they haven't calculated all this, I don't think, into the people that are they serve a higher calling, a higher power, and they answer to something far greater than.
And they know no weapon formed against us shall triumph. So if God doesn't want anything to happen to us, nothing's going to happen. But Mike was at the Hardee's drive-through and saying, FBI, come on, arrest me. Come on, bring me in. I'd love for you to go off and do that, because then he can have the trial that he was looking for that would give them the ability to go off and open up documents such as the protective orders around Dennis Montgomery's hammer and scorecard data. So no, because that's the only way they could prove him as doing anything wrong or saying anything wrong. They have to give him an opportunity to defend himself, and that's the data that supports his assertions. So that's why they didn't arrest him. They just took his phone. They want his contacts. They want to know who he's talking to. And frankly, that's a common theme across the board with what's happened in the wake of the 2020 coup, is that all they're looking for is not facts. They're not interested in evidence. I mean, all the evidence that I have collected over the last 2 years, it's all up on the internet. It's up on websites. You can go off and look at it. It's in my book, The 2020 Coup. All that stuff is out there. They don't want that. They want to know who we're talking to. They want to know what our network is, so that they can figure out who they got to put numbers on the wrist for. And I for one, am not taking it sitting down. There's a lot of folks that aren't. What's going on right now, big picture, just so you know, and you just saw it yesterday with the release of CISA's new guidance regarding the election. And it's all about internal threats or insider threats. If you listen to what Joe Biden said in Philadelphia, he's calling half of America enemies of the state. If you listen to what Jocelyn Benson's doing with the training of election workers, she's talking about the dangers of violent extremists serving as poll challengers at the polls. All of her poll challenger guidelines are about these violent extremists, and we're anything but violent extremists. We're violent truthists. We want to make sure that we have honest and fair elections, but they don't want that.
Yeah, not nonviolent.
We are
nonviolent truthists.
Yeah, and so here's the deal. They adhere to the principles of Saul Alinsky, who wrote the book Rules for Radicals, which he dedicated to Lucifer. All right. And one of Saul Alinsky's principles is that the action is in the reaction. So what they're doing with things like, taking Mike's cell phone at Hardee's in a very public way, what they're doing with the raid on Mar-a-Lago is they're poking the bear. They're trying to go off and get a reaction that justifies a rhetoric that they've been planting in the seeds of Americans. And we're just not going to fall for it, because we are people of faith and we tend to turn the other cheek, but we also tend to be very, very resolute once God tells us to do something.
Grab the book, The 2020 Coup. You can get it. What happened, what we can do. You can get it tonight. He'll sign it in person at Lighthouse Baptist in Holland at Ottawa County Patriots meeting. Hang on, folks. We're getting back on the air. Stand by. We'll be right back.
The world. It's aptly named the Glenn Beck Program. Coming up on Wood Radio.
Hey, Justin, you all set?
Some days it feels like that crazy train has gone completely off the rails, right? More than not these days. Yeah, you can join the program at any time. 616-774-2424, the way to jump in on the program. We're talking about tonight's program, Ottawa County Patriots Group, Holland, Lighthouse Baptist, and one of those folks who will be there tonight speaking, Patrick Colbeck. You can see him. And, of course, Ryan Kelly will be there. Ambassador Pete Huckster will be there as well. Lieutenant Colonel Denny Gellum. Lots of folks talking about the clear and present dangers that we face these days. One of them is in office in Michigan as we speak, but it's funny because she got booed over the weekend. At one of these big concert and festival events, Dana Nessa walking on stage, and listen to the crowd.
Dana!
She is booed on stage, and they can't get the microphone working. It's just a rough thing all the way around. But listen, I kind of think some of those things that you watch, kind of entertaining to see that happen. These people want you to think that they're so popular. They want us to think Biden's so popular. I mean, look at the guy. His approval rating is in the tank. I don't think I've ever seen anything this bad. It's horrible. And they want us to believe that, that he got all the most votes for a president in the history of the country, Patrick. How's that possible?
Have you seen him campaigning with any of the Democratic candidates all across the country?
Shows you how popular he is, right? They're running.
He's been out. Yeah. I think he can't. He might have. It looked like I saw in one of the B rolls him talking out at the Detroit Auto Show, but I don't know if that was from
He
the
did.
past or
He was caught holding hands with Governor Whitmer, who didn't hold like a campaign event with him. There was no real event, but they were caught holding hands together, riding with Biden. Now she's hiding from Biden, but it's really it is something. And I think Biden was kind of freaked out because I think he thought he was holding Jill's hand, which was a whole nother thing. But you're breaking down all of the specifics on election security and much more tonight. You're going to dive deeper into all of these specifics. People want like a real good sort of course on what to do, what happened, and what to do next. In fact, that's the subtitle of the book. You can find that out tonight at the Ottawa County Patriots meeting. He'll be talking about it. Pat Colbeck. A little bit more before we go. We were just talking about what happened to Mike Lindell. And this all had to do with the FBI seizing his phone in the Hardee's drive-thru. This guy apparently an extremist. When they go and seize the phone of the pillow guy, I mean, things they have gone off the rails. But this is what happened, and apparently has to do with what the case in Colorado. Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah. So they're trying to connect him with what they're calling malfeasance on the part of Tina Peters, who is a Mesa County clerk in Colorado. You may recall that she did the outrageous act of actually adhering to her oath of office and preserving the records under her keep by taking a forensic image of the Dominion voting system in running her elections before Dominion serviced it, and another copy of it after, so that they could examine what the changes were. And what they found was that the original version had two different sets of books on it for the election and two different election results databases. Just like Al Capone got caught by having two sets of books for accounting, these guys got caught with two sets of books for the election.
Yeah. It really is something. Apparently, we're told we're not allowed to look at this stuff. And we know what's wild. And we'll talk about this coming up in the Tech Talk segment here in just a moment with our good friend Trent Kennedy, Affordable Eye Store. But right now we're seeing, big tech collusion. In fact, the Federal Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals just said Twitter and other social media platforms don't have an unlimited right to discriminate against speech. That was a big blow that came last week in the Texas law was upheld. Senator Hawley grilling Facebook executives on Capitol Hill, admitting they have coordinated behind the scenes with the Biden administration to censor constitutionally protected free speech. You're an enemy of the state. You're an extremist. You're one of those MAGA Republicans, one of those folks that we got to really worry about, Patrick, if you are questioning. In fact, we saw Facebook was stopping people from messaging, and they're collecting this data and sending it to the FBI. If you asked any questions about the election, this doesn't seem like the America I know and love.
Well, I wish it were just social media, but it's actually traditional media as well. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but I was looking down on the byline for one of the articles coming from Clara Hendrickson at the Detroit Free Press. And in it, she's putting out an open invite for donations to a organization that's supporting her on the side called Report for America. And when you look at Report for America and who the donors are, it's the typical suspects of Democracy Fund, which is tied to all of our billionaire progressives that are out there. What they're doing is going off and creating a narrative via the traditional media and social media that supports this coup. And that's why they need to be exposed.
We talked about it yesterday, but there's a group called the Good Information Foundation that is out there right now. They are out there right now. Soros funded, by the way. They're out there and they are encouraging influencers on social media. This should give us a little bit of encouragement to show how little people give credence and credibility to the mainstream media now, the local news, the nightly news, et cetera, because they're having to go out and pay influencers. They offered an attorney on TikTok $400 to make a video, 15 seconds to 60 seconds, and say certain things in the video, specifically about January 6th, President Trump, MAGA Republicans, etc. They are losing in this information war. They're losing in the narrative, and they know it, and that's why they're going out there to do those things. But you need to be aware about what's happening behind the scenes. That's why we're having these conversations. You can grab Patrick's book, The 2020 Coup, at letsfixstuff.com. or you can come out and see him in person tonight, Ottawa County Patriots event. And if you'd like to, of course, he'll sign that book for you in person tonight at the event, Holland Lighthouse Baptist. And it's going to be a great time. Again, Ryan Kelly will be there. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra will be there. I'll be there. And Colonel Denny Gillum, along with Patrick Colbeck. That's tonight. Doors open around 5:30 in Holland. Patrick, looking forward to spending some time with you tonight and getting some questions answered, folks. Maybe some questions you want to get answered. You can do that in person. One question on the phone line before we let you go. Is that okay, Pat?
Sure.
You got it. Let me go to line 1. It looks like we've got I'm gonna let me make sure I got your name right. Mike, good morning. How are you?
Oh, good, Justin. About yourself?
I'm great. You got a question for Patrick?
I sure do. I just want to tell him that he's got to give the legislators of our state, and of course all the blue states are included, that, they're looking to cheat this thing again. They did it before and they got away with it. They all know it. We got to be ahead of them this time. Otherwise, we're going to be back where we are now. We got it. Top priority is making sure they don't cheat.
So what I hear him saying there, and I thank you, Mike, I appreciate it, is how do we make sure it doesn't happen again, Patrick? It doesn't look like they fixed anything. In fact, and one of the things that the proposals that's on the ballot would basically make permanent all of the things that made 2020 possible in your 2020 coup book possible. So I know you are working behind the scenes. You want to talk a little bit about what folks can do, and then again, we'll share more tonight.
Yeah, unfortunately, the folks we pay to do this kind of work are not doing anything, our legislators. But the good news is people are stepping up all across the state. And we know how they did it in 2020. That's helped us out quite a bit. So we are monitoring drop boxes. We are active with poll workers who are actually monitoring the execution of the process. We have folks that are doing poll challenging as well. And we also have done, the Election Integrity Force is one of those organizations that does something very proactive. What they've gone out and done is proactively challenge ballots as they're coming in for absentee ballots. They do something called an absentee vote chase. And they know that if somebody who's on there that's not a real voter is receiving a ballot, they can challenge that ballot today. They don't have to wait till Election Day. So there's things like that. We're also doing canvassing through groups like the America Project, where we're trying to identify and promote the vote around low propensity voters. And we know from what happened in Virginia and Arizona, even if you don't have these election reforms that we've been pushing for, we can overwhelm them at the polls by getting people out to vote that normally wouldn't vote. And so if you want to join up with that activity, check out Operation Eagle's Wings at mi.foramericafirst.com and join up to be one of our canvassers. So there are some really good things happening. Unfortunately, it's not the people that we're paying to do things. It's all the people that are saying, hey, if you want your country, you're going to have to stand up. And as Mike Lindell likes to say, if you're saving your courage for a rainy day, it's pouring outside. So time to get engaged.
Pat Colbeck, letsfixstuff.com. Again, OttawaCountyPatriots.org tonight for the meeting. Love to see you there. Patrick, thank you so much for stopping by with us. But I really appreciate your courage and you standing up in the fight to make sure that elections are secure.
There's a lot of meddling kids out there, my friend.
Keep it up. God bless. Folks, what he said, though, is so important about making sure we get out the vote, making sure that you get out and vote. Even if you feel like, gosh, I just really don't know what we can do, they're going to steal it again. Well, see, that's the way they want you to feel. The more folks that can get out there and just outpouring of folks getting involved, that keeps them from stealing. They need all of it apparently to make it happen. And if you dig into Pat's book and some of the things they've been talking about, it talks about how they use those numbers. We'll dig into that, I'm sure, a little bit more later on in the after show as well. You can get into all. You join the after show, you can. We're going to be jam-packed today. Coming up in just moments, we'll get into a Tech Talk segment you won't want to miss. But first, I want to tell you about Mentality. They are one of the newer sponsors to the program. And I got to tell you, we've heard a lot about things like toxic masculinity in general these days. But we don't really hear a lot about the things that are very technical and probably even more important, which is things like your testosterone levels. When was the last time you got tested? Never? Oh, I got it. I understand. I mean, who thinks of even doing things like that? Well, the folks at Mentality have. In fact, if you're experiencing anxiety, depression, low energy, motivation, weight gain, muscle loss, it could be due to your hormone levels, those testosterone levels. It could be a little low. So you're supposed to be within a certain range, and really to perform at your best, to be the best dad, to be the best, husband, the best at work you can be. You've really got to make sure that you are right in a certain range, and you won't know unless you get tested. They're going to make sure that you get taken care of and to find out what the problem is so they can fix it for you. They get FDA approved testosterone treatment, board certified physicians who work with most insurance companies. They're a local healthcare facility, Mentality specifically dedicated to helping men feel and perform at their very best. Check out Mentality today at lowtusa.com. Go to low, the letter T, USA.com. That's lowtusa.com today to take your life back. Lots to cover today coming up on the Tech Talk segment, folks. Stand by. Trent is waiting to go live with us as we speak. Hello, Trent. Can you hear me good?
Hey, good morning, Justin. Loud and clear.
You look good. You sound good. We're firing it up. We are just moments away. Stand by. Stand by, stand by. Bruce Patrick is one of the best. Hey, Trent, no need to have to hide your screen or anything. I can change that for you. So no issues on your end. I can take you off and take you on my end. Troll alert. I think that's a spam alert. I blocked them. There's a couple of them in here with the herpes message. I mean, you got in order to think that that's going to work anywhere. It's just crazy. Stand by. Brian, I don't know what that message means. Can you clarify? A jam-packed after show. We're going to get to a Rona report you won't want to miss today as well. Electric bills set to soar in the U.S. as winter approaches. It's something that we just can't get around, folks. Make sure that you're taking appropriate precautions, that you're getting ready for whatever may come. We'll talk about this coming up in the after show. But, as much as I would love the idea of wind, solar, and unicorn farts to work all the time, apparently that's just not the case. And people are going to get hurt. And in fact, in Europe, we may see some even worse. We may see some death in places like Europe where it's just completely out of control. I've seen the prices and what they're saying, what they're looking at. The manufacturing in Europe has just skyrocketed through the roof because of the energy prices right now. Looks like watching it looks like the Dow is down again this morning as well. Wall Street on edge because of the Fed and the interest rates coming up in the next day or so. We're watching that too. But first, let's get into this.
Hack into the latest in tech and how it affects you and your world. This is Tech Talk Tuesday on Wood Radio's West Michigan Live.
Welcome in, Trent Kennedy, Affordable Eye Store, Lake Michigan Drive in Standale. Appreciate you being here with us today. Also, Grand River Tech. If you have a business or an organization and you like to get things secure to make sure that you're taking care of business, well, he can help you do that. Trent, appreciate you being here.
Hey, good morning, Justin.
So let's start in some of the more spicier articles. The federal Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals said that Twitter and other social media platforms don't have an unlimited right to discriminate against free speech. The ruling came last week in this case, and particularly states like Texas who have these social media laws now cracking down. This is good news for a lot of folks, it looks like.
Yeah, Justin, this is kind of a major case where the Supreme Court is saying, hey, you can't stop this. You can't censor if it's political. Now it's a little bit a gray area. What's political? What's not political? That's still to be determined. Who's going to make those decisions? And to me, that's the biggest issue with social media platforms is just a lack of transparency on who makes those decisions of what's quote unquote misinformation or political or something that's censor worthy, Justin. I mean, obviously we didn't have social media, even 20, 30 years ago, but think of something in the form of magazines, Justin. The magazines have been around for hundreds of years. The American Journal of Science magazine was started in 1818. So think about this, Justin. That magazine is still in place today. Think of the misinformation over the last 200 years from a scientific standpoint. Should we have censored all those great ideas that were crazy at the time, but then later were developed into really incredible pieces of technology? Should the government be involved in that? And with social media, it's just out of hand.
And as you mentioned, it's hard to tell what's political and what isn't. And I'd say this and make it a little bit easier for everything. Everything's political. There is nothing these days that is not political. In fact, we're seeing now, and we talked about it yesterday, this Good Information Foundation out there paying influencers on social media $400 a post to go out and say certain things about January 6th, President Trump, and they're trying to move the narrative. And it's happening because they know how desperate they are. Things have just gone so bad for them in such a way that they are they're incapable of winning. It seems like without cheating. So we see these things happening on a daily basis. We see the Facebook and the FBI sending our messages off to the FBI so that if anybody who questioned the election in 2020 had any issues, they'd ended up on a list. These are things that are happening now. Incredible. In fact, we have another situation. Senator Hawley from Missouri grilling Facebook executive, getting him to admit that they had coordinated with the Biden administration to censor constitutionally free speech. It is happening. It's happening at a major clip. Some of this stuff is coming out. I don't know if anybody can stop it.
Justin, the age-old system of freedom where if you have a magazine or a periodical or in modern day media, a media company, if people don't like what you're speaking about, you cannot use them, you cannot listen. We as human beings can cut through the clutter in time. If we are duped right away, we'll figure that out, and that's what needs to run its course, Justin. The government to step in. We can look at history for hundreds of years, thousands of years, when the government steps in to try to enforce truth or science. It ends very, very poorly for people's rights.
We've got another one. Speaking of which, you sent me this today. Gmail will start spam-proofing political fundraising emails this week. Oh, what could go wrong? Is it possible that Google could collude behind the scenes to make sure certain conservative voices and their organizations couldn't get the word out, couldn't fundraise via emails? Trent, I'm sure that would never happen in 2022.
Yeah, Justin, this is an interesting story because the truth of the matter is pretty much all political emails on pretty much all sides of the aisle go to spam folders. And because anytime you click on a message and you call it spam, even if it's a legitimate message, these email service providers kind of rely on you categorizing emails as good or spam. So if you're sick of getting something, even if it's from your own party, you just simply mark it as spam. And so these emails aren't getting to other people who may want to get them. So Google's coming up with a system that's supposed to allow approved political campaigns through their spam filter. And you got to, of course, apply for that. It might take months, years, and then they might actually deliver your emails. It's a very interesting very political feeling move, again, because there's no accountability. Who's making these decisions? Who's vetting this? How long is the approval process? There's no transparency through these processes.
Lots more to cover in Tech Tuesday. In fact, I don't think we have time for all of it. But Trent, I want to thank you for coming on. People have questions about anything, their devices, maybe how to make sure that they keep their business, their organization, or themselves secure. Again, Affordable iStore, Lake Michigan Drive, and of course, Grand River Tech as well in Standout. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you for being here with us today.
Hey, thanks, Justin.
You got it. God bless. Trent Knibbe. Yep, we got the after show fired up. And folks, don't let big tech censor us. There's no need to do that. Let's get around them. In fact, you can get my good newsletter. Go to justinbarclay.com/good news to stay in touch. No matter what. The behind the scenes live stream continues with the after show on the way in just moments. Make sure you join us there. The flag everybody's talking about at the Ohio Trump rally. We'll kind of dig into that. I brought my tinfoil hat for it. That and more coming up in just moments. JustinBarclay.com as well. Back tomorrow morning at 9:06. Make it a great day. God bless, folks. All right. Got to click a couple of buttons and then we're live, folks. On the after show, the show after the show. All right. So before I get into it, has anybody seen any of this or heard anything about the flag at the Trump rally in Ohio Saturday night? We talked a little bit about it on our locals broadcast last night, justinbarclay.com/locals. Doing some exclusive stuff over there, too. So if you haven't done so, it's free to join. You can become a supporter as well. In fact, I want to give a big shout out to our newest support. Actually, hang on. Let me give them a shout out when we get on the air. Let me get on the so it makes it on the podcast, too. We'll cover that flag and more coming up in just moments. Stand by, folks. Welcome to the after show. It's the show after the show. That's why we call it the after show. See what we did there, folks? Yes. Creative, the geniuses, the juices flowing behind the scenes. There's just never enough time to get to everything during the 9 to 10 live radio show. That's why it's the fastest hour in radio. It absolutely flies. Like drinking from a fire hose, we do our best to make sure we cover it during this show. It's called the after show. So we appreciate you being here with us today. I want to thank one of our sponsors, the folks at My Patriot Supply. You got to preparewithjustin.com and get ready. So no matter what heads our way, you're stocked up, you're ready to go. Save $500 right now on a year's supply. That's 2,000 calories a day. That's enough for you and to last an entire year. It's a 25-year shelf life. Get stocked up. We heard about the railroad issue, and that's still not completely settled yet. We heard some news about that yesterday. The strike that was going to happen, and if that happens, you see on a daily basis, it's either incompetence or it's intentional. And folks, you know where I land on the side of this. We've just seen too much. There's just too much coincidence these days. Is it too early? Is it too early to go ahead and pull it out already? Get my tinfoil hat out. We'll be using that a little bit later on. If you do not have your tinfoil hat, you may want to get that, justinbarclay.com. But we've seen too much. And, of course, how do you control people? You control a food source. That's one of the ways to do it. Why do you think Bill Gates is buying up all the food, all the farmland? And who else? China. Neither one of those individuals. Certainly China, but I don't think Bill Gates should be able to own all that farmland either. We ought to see a return to the old days, the old ways of doing it. Mom and pop farmers. It's just too important. It's a national security issue when it comes to this food. Folks, get prepared. My Patriot Supply, preparewithjustin.com. That's preparewithjustin.com. When you go today, you'll help support the show as well. Thank our sponsors. Anytime you interact with them, anytime you say, hey, thank you for doing what you're doing. Thank you for supporting the show, the program. We really appreciate it. Get that tinfoil hat out here. Let me get it. I don't know if I can wear it with the headphones. Hang on. Let me just. There we go. That's a little better. How's that? The tin foil hat. We got it ready. Have you seen the Trump flag? If you have, go ahead and type in the comments what your thoughts are on the Trump flag from the Ohio rally. Now, let me describe it. People caught this the other day, and I almost talked about it yesterday, but I didn't get to. And then it came up last night on our locals. If you haven't joined locals yet, it's justinbarclay.com/locals. Come on over. It's free to join. You just sign up for the account. It's where we're probably going to have to do a lot of these in the future because Facebook is continually threatening our account. I don't know if I do it today, but when I log in nowadays, like I'm getting a warning, like your account is about ready. Oh, it says, yeah, here it is. Don't lose your page. Right at the top, Facebook. Don't lose your page. We still don't know what my community standards violations were. We still have no clue. This is back when they shut us down a month before the primary. We still don't know because they haven't told us. We still don't know exactly what the issue was. But I'm sure it had something to do with telling the truth. It is. It's like they are allergic to the truth. They can't stand it. So we may end up over on locals. Rumble is operating fine as well. Rumble and locals, I think, are tied together now. Yeah, the standards are you can't be conservative, Kristen. So just good point. Good point. Lots of folks loving locals. You can join for free, but you can also support us there. $7 a month gets you a bunch of extras, including my audiobook with the bonuses inside of it as well. Good news, hope, and encouragement for trying times. Plus, you get a discount on everything that we have in the store if you're a supporter. And folks are doing that as we speak. And I was going to thank somebody. So before we get into the Trump flag, let me thank J10 1214. J10 1214, our latest supporter, J10 1214. If you're here today, say hey and let us know. And becoming an annual supporter. When you do, by the way, you get 2 months free. So it's a pretty good deal. So the Trump flag is the best way to put this is he left the stage Saturday night in Ohio. It was Youngstown, I think. He left the stage, and when he walked through a tunnel at the end of the event, you could see that he walked through a stage or a tunnel that had a flag draped at the end, like at the backdrop at the end of the tunnel. Many people noticed, and then it took off on social media. But people noticed that the flag itself. See if I can maybe find a better picture because they're kind of suppressing this. I'd have to go to the Chinese app, China, TikTok. I have to find the top. Are they going to make me sign in? Oh no, I don't want to do that. I'll find the picture of it here in just a second. But the flag had black stars. I've never seen I've never seen that before. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but there are various different thoughts for why that happened. People that are, and maybe they're all coming from the same groups, but the question is why? Why would that? Why? I will tell you this, and we'll go through some of those reasons here in a second. And I'd like to ask you if you're listening to the chat too, but everything. This is one thing I know. No matter what, one thing I know is that everything that is done at events like this, everything that is done on purpose. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean from how they simply how they people are lined up, or even a press conference, how certain wording is on certain things. Every single thing is done on purpose. It's no mistake. So why this would happen, and I got to tell you, I've been a part, I don't know how many events and things like this. Why this happens, I just refuse to believe that it's beyond coincidence. Now, I don't know what the meaning is. Is it Trump trolling certain folks? Is there something more to it? Is there real in-depth meaning behind it? That's something I can't say for sure. But what I can say, it certainly is interesting, especially when you start to dig through like some of the meaning that people have assigned to it and what exactly it means. Okay, so somebody has got this pulled up. Looks like, let's see if I can get. Oh no, they didn't stream the whole thing. I'll probably have to go to Rumble to find it. It's really hard for me to find now the actual flag here. I'm gonna just type in Trump town. Is this the full? Yeah.
Than that, yet critics weaponization is ranked at there's no safe.
Okay, here it is, folks. Yep, here it is. Let me found it. Go this up. Maybe I'm not searching the right thing or finding it, but I don't know what here he is at the end of the rally and is about to walk out.
Bring him in here.
All right, now see him walking out here? Look at that flag. Do you notice anything about that flag? At first, people are saying there's no stars. But I think the stars are actually black. Yeah, there's plenty of clips on TikTok. Kristen said I just couldn't get into TikTok they were going to make me sign in and all that. I couldn't do that on the fly here. It was just easier for me to get to Rumble. Yeah, it looks like there's no stars, but they're actually black. If you look closer, the stars on the flag are actually black. Now, what's the meaning of this? Watch him walk, because there's even a little bit more to it. So is he trolling people? Is this now watch him walk, and he walks into the shadows, into the darkness, into the back. And I think there you go.
Just another very, very inspirational.
I don't know, folks. I can't tell you for certain. It's just Ladina says, no, there's no stars. It's just fabric pleats. Black stars or no stars. Either way, that means something, right? There's something to that. Hang on. Let me get it out again. We got the tinfoil hat out and ready to go. Could it be that the stars are on the other side and that is the back side of the flag? Flags always have stars on both sides. It looks knitted. Someone says it looks quilted. They look blue to me, or pleats. Either way, you wouldn't have blue star. What would the meaning be of the blue stars? Let's just say flag black stars. Let's see if we get anything for meaning of a flag with black stars. What does a black American flag mean? Well, that's something completely different. What does it mean if an American flag has different colors? What does a red and black flag mean? And trust me, people get very, when it comes to flags and variations and whatnot, people get very, and rightfully so, they get very touchy on some of this stuff. We've seen an all black flag is another thing altogether. Anybody in the chat with thoughts on this though? We'll check Rumble too, real quick. White means peace, black means war. Each star represents one state. Isn't that something? Looks like a blue square set on top of the flag, it says. There is a meaning behind everything Trump does, Jay Gladson says. Black flag is opposite of a white flag, meaning war. Each star is a state, meaning a war between states, maybe? I saw it up close. There are embroidered stars that are black or dark blue. Fedora says over on Rumble. So, I don't know. I mean, there are a couple of things. No matter what it means, there are a couple of things. Either there is greater meaning to it and there's a message being sent, or it's Trump and his crew trolling folks on the left. I don't know. Jack is blue trying to cover our statehood. That's interesting. I don't know. Carmen, U.S. flag without the stars tells your enemy that further aggression on their part will mean total annihilation, complete destruction, or obliteration. If you're the enemy and you choose to surrender, you will be treated well. Grump says Trump is just a man. Indeed. In fact, I mentioned that last night on the locals. And I'll talk about this a little bit later and more in depth, but no matter what happens, no matter what we face, folks, I always feel the peace, because at the end of the day, I say it and I've said it over and over, and I'll say it again, but God is on the throne. Jones says, simple answer is surrender. American flag without the stars tells your enemy that further aggression on their part will mean total annihilation. So we did read that. A lot of people are passing that around and reading it. Colette said, I read it was a flag of war too. Grum says, want controversy? Look up American peacetime flag. I've actually looked at this. So interesting, though, because we get into to these wild discussions, don't we? Here we go. All right, here's the flag that was up last night with Trump. And then I'll show you the, if you Google American peacetime flag, what pops up there. Yeah. Grump is a good point, isn't it? It's very strange. You ever seen that before? I've never seen this. Not until recently, anyway. That the background is white and the stars are blue. You know, flags in general, there's a lot of different meaning and symbolism that goes into all of this stuff. Everything is done on purpose and for a reason. There's a lot of this that we've probably just lost touch of and never really dig into anymore. But the flag itself, the stripes and the stars and the blue, it all has greater meaning. It all has some sort of different significance, right? The artist or whoever is putting all this together, the person who's creating it and designing it, they want to have certain greater meaning behind what we're looking at. I do see stars here on this blue flag. Those are black stars. And I know it's probably hard to tell, but they are black stars when you look at it from this angle. Let me see. Maybe I can try and zoom in for it a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Can you see that a little better? We got it all the way up to 400% now. Make it 500. Those are stars, and they are black from what it appears. If you can see that. Kristen, I have a t-shirt of this flag from when Obama was in office. When I thought it, I was told, when I bought it, I was told it means the country has fallen and been taken over. Isn't that interesting? Well, that says a lot right there. Lots of different ideas here in the chat today, but I thought, man, this would be interesting to bring up. At least we have this conversation, part of the conversation. Redacted stars, Carmen. That's good. That's real good. Redacted stars. I like that. Let's see. Tricia says she's got a link here. Let me see if I can get to that link before it disappears. Tricia, can you post that link again? It just disappeared on me. And I'll try to click it. I can't click in the app that I'm, so I have to get in and let's see. Click on Facebook. There we go. Okay. Thank you, Tricia. We'll see if I can click this link and then we'll wrap this up. But the tinfoil hat was necessary, I think, for today, wasn't it? Okay. So, okay. I did read this. Yeah, somebody sent this to me. I think maybe last night we looked at this. So here we go. No stars on the flag. Let me get rid of some of these ads and pop-ups and stuff here. There were no stars on the flag. Okay, so that's not necessarily the case. 50 stars, there are 50 stars representing the 50 states, 13 stars representing the 15 original colonies. Does each star on the flag represent a state? Check below to find out. Yada, yada, yada. What do each of the colors and stars represent? I think this is more of very similar what we were just talking about. So, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what exactly we saw. It does appear to me to be a flag with black stars. Jessica, another new shirt idea. Make a shirt with black. I want to be sure what that means before I do it. But it's kind of a good idea, honestly. Yeah, black stars, very interesting. Zoomed way in, Ladina said. Yeah, it's just wow. Oh yeah, the pics are clear, Trisha. You're right. They are clear. And maybe I can zoom in a little bit more on this picture. Yeah. To me, I don't know if you can see it on the stream here, but to me, those are clear black stars. Those are clearly black stars to me. Let's see. Where'd it go? There it is. That's even more. So you can see the star here. And you got squares here, and the squares are between the stars. So if the stars weren't here, you wouldn't see these. There would just be nothing here. It would just be all flat blue. But you have stars, and the stars, one thing that we can all agree on, right? One thing we can all agree on is those stars are not white. They are not white. So there you have it. What this means and where we go next, folks, I don't know. Times are very interesting, aren't they? Got the tinfoil hat on for such a time as this. If you haven't done so yet, grab your tinfoil hat. JustinBarclay.com. If you go to scroll to the bottom right now, the bottom of the page there, you'll see the tinfoil hat. Click on that gear section, grab your hat. Ready to go. Ready to go. Just particularly for times like this. This is funny about this. Sunwind Gold Retrievers. I see no stars. Weird. Only blue. Oh, it's Phyllis. Hey, Phyllis. It's funny because do you remember the blue dress? Do you remember everybody was on the internet going back and forth about the blue dress, and remember what they saw? Is this dress blue? Because everybody's phone or screen is different. So everybody's phone or screen is different. So what you see, I think, looks different on everybody's phone. Maybe get on a couple of different screens, maybe a phone or a computer or an iPad or something. Matt says maybe it means after Biden told us we're the problem and it's war with the Trump supporters and the Democrats in each state. I don't know. But I got to tell you, folks, it's just strange. And it's something that people are starting to talk about. And I wanted to make sure that we actually covered it. It's a rabbit hole. We could go down this rabbit hole. We could spend all day down there. One of the things I wanted to cover today on Tech Tuesday that we didn't get a chance to get to, and I wanted to let you know about it. In the Rona report, should I start a little bit of the Rona? Hang on. Let me get a Rona report. High Priest of Health, ladies and gentlemen, St. Anthony of Wuhan, Mr. Booster, Tony Booster. By the way, he's out there. He's out there in the news making comments. Biden the other day said the pandemic is over. Fauci said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You know that I'm in charge here, right? You know, I make all the decisions. Oh. Rochelle, yes, we can see your comments. Anti-vax group uses carrot emojis to hide Facebook posts. The reason I'm telling you this, do not put carrot emojis in the comments. Do not do that. Here's why. Facebook has caught on to it. The reason I'm telling you this is very simple. I'm a part of I think I told you that group the other day that I was a part of the sudden and unexpected deaths group. They had mentioned, I saw this just the other day, they were using the carrots, and that for the longest time they're using the carrot to symbolize the jab. Well, I'm telling you not to do this anymore, because in the group they said Facebook is on to them. Now they've realized that that's what people are using, that carrot. So every time they use carrot, those posts are now being censored. I'm sure you end up on a list somewhere and God knows what else. But don't put that in the comments, because they're already they're catching on to us. People see every day when they're trying to leave like a laughing or a heart emoji or something good in our chat here, that it comes up as an angry sign. We use lightsabers, Rochelle says. That's funny. But they're constantly, they're trying to figure out where we're going, and they're constantly the censorship always continues. But here's this from the BBC. BBC has seen several groups, one with hundreds of thousands of members, in which the emoji appears in place of the word, you know what? I'll just say jab. Facebook's algorithms tend to focus on words rather than images. The groups are being used to share unverified claims of people being either injured or killed by the jabs. Well, we don't need unverified claims. In the UK, we have data. They don't want to report on that. Once the BBC alerted Facebook's parent company Meta, the groups were removed. Oh, do you see what they're doing now? So now the mainstream media is going out and they're telling on people in these Facebook groups. They're notifying Facebook. These people are spreading dangerous truth. Isn't that something? So they went out and said, what we told us, now they're taking those groups down. One group we saw has been around for 3 years, but rebranded itself to focus on jab stories, from being a group for sharing banter, bets, and funny videos in August 2022. The rules of the very large group state use code words for everything. It adds, do not use the C word, V word, B word. COVID vaccine or booster. Well, a lot of people ask and wonder why I use the word jab. Well, I use that word because it kind of gets around what we're trying to do. Plus, the mRNA experimental treatments are not really vaccines. In fact, they had to change their own definition, to fit the bill. Mark Owen Jones, a disinformation researcher and associate professor at Hamad bin Khalifa University in Qatar. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I when I think about credibility, I think about Mark Owen Jones and his disinformation research at Hamad bin Khalifa University in Qatar. Yeah, Qatar seems like a bastion for truth and free speech. But the BBC has propped this guy up as their expert of the day. He says it was people giving accounts of relatives who had died shortly after having the jab, he said. But instead of using the C word or the V word, they were using emojis of carrots. Here's one example. Just got invited to a Facebook group with a couple of 100,000 members where people share stories about why they think the jab killed people they knew. But instead of saying jab, they use carrot emojis, presumably to evade censorship. Very odd. No, it's not, Mark. It's not odd at all. because everything is being censored these days. Oh, and then they've got a thing on emojis and racism. Oh, yes, because emojis are racist. Oh, my gosh. These people can't make this stuff up. You know, there's a reason why they have to do these things. It's because you're constantly being categorized. You're put on lists, being sent to the FBI these days. I mean, it's the fact checkers. I know we make a point of this every day, but the fact checkers, anytime I see something that's fact checked, I automatically, it tells me, well, this must be true then. It must be true. It's wild. Yesterday, we heard the news that the Good Information Foundation was trying to pay a lawyer. This is a Soros-funded nonprofit, an NGO, trying to pay a lawyer who's got a TikTok channel to go out and make a $400 to make a video attacking Trump and January 6th. But we're the ones with people putting carrots of loved ones who died, talking about stories, died suddenly and unexpectedly. We're the ones that are threats to society. We're the ones with threats to democracy. Give me a break, folks. Give me a break. That's the world we live in Biden's America. And, of course, the World Economic Forum. So Fauci is out there. By the way, he was holding hands the other day with Miss Wicked Whitmer of Michigan. He was holding hands with her at the auto show, and then he did an interview with 60 Minutes, and I thought it was really interesting. Biden actually asked the other day, "Hey, how long is this program, Jack?" Sir, it's 60 minutes.
Come on, man.
I mean, but he had to ask. But here's Fauci after Biden said on 60 Minutes, the pandemic is over. Fauci out there, wait a minute. I get to make the rules here. Everybody knows Biden's not really in charge anyway, everybody. Hey, I'm the one making the rules on all of this. If Biden were able to make the rules, it might be problematic. It could be problematic. I'm just saying, don't do it. Here he is talking about that.
We are not where we need to be if we're going to be able to, quote, live with the virus, because we know we're not going to eradicate it. We only did that with one virus, which is smallpox. And that was very different. We are not where we need to be.
So Fauci's saying, no, it's not over. In fact, I got much more planned for you in the future. Oh, Fauci. Yeah, my favorite word, by the way, it's not carrot, it's Fauci-ouchie. Probably my favorite. The Fauci-ouchie, the jab, the hokey pokey. That's another good one. I like that one too. But usually it's Fauci-ouchie. I just like that one because it's funny and it brings everyone back to Dr. Death. It brings everyone back to Dr. Death. There was another weird earthquake yesterday. Is it? Do I have to get the tinfoil hat out again? We told you about the one in Taiwan. This is just strange stuff. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. It's really not my I don't want to do that, but it's just weird. There's been a lot of earthquakes lately. I'm sure it's probably caused by your SUV. Everyone knows it's because you like to stay warm during the winter. And of course, It's your SUV. It's your fault, people. These earthquakes are happening. Arizona and Mexico had one the other day, too. A 7-something. What was that? 7-something on the Richter scale? It was a big one. They said no deaths after the weird Mexican earthquake. It's very, very strange. So I saw that, but there's just been a swarm of those. 7.6, John said. Wow. I'm still wearing the because I got to get back into it, Dan. I had to get back into these weird earthquakes. We're not sure what's causing them. Probably your SUV. I blame either your SUV or I blame Ron DeSantis. Either one. I think either one will in fact work. Fox News, they did an interview with one of the folks on Martha's Vineyard about Biden and the border. Listen to this.
Were you surprised at all when Governor Ron DeSantis decided, okay, you know what? Guess what? I'm going to send 50 of the migrants who volunteered to come to to Boston, to come to Martha's Vineyard. Were you surprised when they arrived?
No, I wasn't. And I really praise him for doing that because it wasn't a stunt. I know the media has been saying it's a stunt. But, how do you get the attention of the administration? How do you get the attention of Harris, who's supposed to be in charge of this?
Do you think she's been a good border czar?
It's really a joke, and everyone knows it.
Oh, whoa! Ladies and gentlemen, residents of Martha's Vineyard sounding off. Carmen, that's one of my favorite memes out there. It's not delivery, it's DeSantis. It's one of my favorite memes out there. Of course, we talked about it on the big show, but the sheriff out of Texas now wants to investigate Ron DeSantis. Is the same sheriff who apparently didn't want to investigate. I was like 50 some odd illegals, folks being trafficked, human trafficked it was at San Antonio, right? Being human trafficked, 103-degree day, and left for dead. Many of them dying. It's absolutely horrific. But he cares about what's happening in Florida. And yes, he cares about what's happening in places like Martha's Vineyard. This guy is a Democrat operative. He's a Democrat sheriff, but he's an extreme liberal, left-wing, crazy, regressive sheriff coming after Ron DeSantis.
What infuriates me the most about this case is that here we have 48 people that are already on hard times, right? They are here legally in our country at that point. They have every right to be where they are. And I believe that they were preyed upon. Somebody came from out of state, preyed upon these people, lured them with promises of a better life, which is what they were absolutely looking for, with the knowledge that they were going to cling to whatever hope they could be offered for a better life, to just be exploited and hoodwinked into making this trip to Florida and then onward to Martha's Vineyard for what I believe to be nothing more than political posturing to make a point. Well, look,
Speaking of political posturing to make a point, this guy's doing it himself. Not going after Greg Abbott. Great idea. Why is that, Michelle? That's a great point. Why is he not going after Greg Abbott, who's sending them to D.C. and to New York? Why is he not going after the governor of his state? Because they know. They know. There's a new commercial out there that I have to play for you. And I thought I was almost done. I thought I was done with the Rona Report, but I forgot. So before, if you don't, I don't mean to jump all over the map today, but before I finish with this, I have to show you. This is going to freak you out. It's making the rounds. As a parent, you are going to be, you're going to be very concerned. hospital in New York is normalizing myocarditis in kids with this new commercial.
I've been into fashion since I can remember. But one day I had a stomach ache so bad I didn't want to do anything. The team at New York Presbyterian said it was actually my heart. It was severely swollen, something called myocarditis. But doctors gave me medicines and used machines to control my heartbeat. They saved me. So now I can become the next great fashion designer.
It is such a horrific.
The sulfur industry is worth nearly 13.
Happening behind the scene. They are now coming out. They want to make it seem like myocarditis is such a big deal, but it was such a rare thing in the beginning. It was happening all the time now, especially in kids. And there you have it. They've done a commercial now. Now they're paying to tell you that, oh no, this is always. Back into Martha's Vineyard. I've got a coffee stain. I just spilled coffee on it, but the news is still good. You remember they sent after the folks got to Martha's Vineyard, they were sent away on buses. The military came in and had the National Guard called out to come in and clear 40, 50 people from Venezuela, no doubt. And they just said, we just don't have room for them. We don't have jobs here. Well, some locals have claimed that the illegal immigrants who arrived on this wealthy island should go out elsewhere since there wouldn't be work for them with the summer rush gone. The local newspaper has listed 50 help wanted ads in a recent issue. Now, I think it's the Epic Times that did this. This is just brilliant. Somebody actually did the research. The local newspaper has 50 help wanted ads. They could hire all of those people and they could all stay there. Martha's Vineyard could send them away. It's a major issue if they're there, see. 50 help wanted, the local newspaper saying they've added 50 help wanted, and the local supermarket chain has been known to need help all year long. Classified section of the Vineyard Gazette listed more than 50 jobs in the same issue that ran a story about the illegal aliens, referring to them as stranded migrants. Oh, they weren't stranded. They were very happy to be there. And yet they came in and moved them out like the trash that they are. Oh, no, it's not me saying that. NBC was caught tweeting, calling these folks trash. They have since deleted the tweet. But, because the internet is so great, we've saved it. It's been preserved. Look what regular NBC, I guess, tweeted. NBC News, Florida Governor DeSantis sending asylum seekers to Martha's Vineyard is like, quote, me taking my trash out and just driving it to different areas where I live and just throwing my trash there. A founding member of a foundation which helps refugees, says NBC Latinos. This tells you they're revealing themselves every day, more and more, folks. Yes, they redacted the tweet, Rochelle. 50 of these folks swept off the island because there just was no place for them to stay. There's no work for them. Not so, according to the local newspaper. The local YMCA also listed several job openings, including housekeepers, ice arena workers, and a front desk administrator. The spacious Y, where you had taken care of people in the Y previously, right? Located near where the illegal immigrants spent the night at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church, shares a complex with Martha's Vineyard Community Services, which also ran a help wanted ad in the paper, including a job for administrative assistant. Bilingual preferred, they said. Are they breakfast burritos? Didn't they call these people burritos or tacos or some breakfast burrito? Is that what it was? Yeah. That's a good point, Mary. At one point, these folks on the left, they just reveal themselves every day. It gets better. And where do they end up relocating them to, Deanne? Oh, that's great. The best part is they sent them to a military base on Cape Cod. MVCS didn't respond to a request for comment by Press Time. The outreach center in the island's homeless shelter told the media that they didn't have room for illegal aliens. Oh, is that the case? You think they got a homeless shelter on Martha's Vineyard? What a great place to be. In the afternoon of September 17th, a Saturday, the large MVCS complex had several doors to its building wide open, but no staff could be found. One of the open buildings consisted of 2 floors with several empty rooms, including rooms with full kitchens and couches. A group of friends enjoying an outdoor lunch at the Martha's Vineyard Airport told the Epic Times that while the plume of summer jobs is over, there are still enough job opportunities on the island. The women year-round residents who grew up on the island pointed to shop after shop and grocery store chain with 3 locations on the island. According to the women, the stores are always looking for help, and they have worker dormitories, which they said are now empty with most of the summer help gone. Sounds to me a little bit like Mackinac Island. They had offered to put some of the immigrants up in his 2-bedroom apartment. If they had come 4 months earlier, every one of them would have had a $20 per hour job, he said. So these folks are completely exposed. We also talked about yesterday. How did they get here from Venezuela? Well, Venezuela is emptying their prisons and sending people here. Electric bills are soaring across America as the country prepares for winter. Natural gas prices have more than doubled this year because of a global supply shortage made worse by the war in Ukraine, according to the Wall Street Journal. They are expected to remain elevated for months as fuel is needed to light and heat homes during the winter. The supply crunch has made it substantially more expensive for utilities to purchase or produce power, and those costs are being passed on to you. From New Hampshire to Louisiana, electricity rates for customers are increasing. The Energy Information Administration anticipates the residential price of electricity will average 14.8 cents per kilowatt hour in 2022. That's up 7.5% from 21. And it's already, I don't know about you, but it's already higher because they have been taking us offline. They got this nuclear plant in West Michigan they took offline. They have taken the coal plants offline. You can't rely on wind, solar, and unicorn farts. You just can't do it. It's insanity. It's the peak of which former Obama economic advisor Larry Summers blasted the Biden administration for just the other day. There goes his shot to replace Yellen when she steps down at some point. And you got to know that's probably coming. But listen to what he had to say.
It's kind of insane that we have trucks and trains carrying oil all over this country rather than constructing pipelines, which would permit accessing more resources, cheaper, safer transmission. It's kind of insane. Yeah, it's a whole lot of insane. It's a whole lot of insane. And it's making everything cost more. Now, Biden wants to blame Russia. He wants to blame Putin. And certainly, that conflict is probably causing an issue in some ways. But what's causing a bigger issue is that we were energy independent. In fact, we didn't have to deal with all the whims of folks like Putin and who else in Europe. No, we could just produce our own prior to all of this, but not after we shut down pipelines. Now, real people, real families are feeling the pain every single day.
So I have 3 kids, and since everything is really expensive.
Shoppers like Romney Sano say the past few months haven't been easy. Sano says he got a modest raise from his job late last year, but it hasn't come close to keeping up with the rising costs of necessities like groceries.
I used to buy 5 of those for $1, now $2 for the same thing and it's smaller.
According to experts nationwide, groceries went up by 13.5% since last year. Electricity up 15.8%. Car repairs up 9.1%. Rent up 6.7%. The bottom line, the average household is spending nearly $460 more a month to buy the same goods and services as last year.
People that are already living paycheck to paycheck, where are they finding that money? Where does it come from? Where does this $500 just magically come from? You know, you got to cut some things out of your budget. $500, that's a lot. It's incredible. I've noticed, by the way, over on Facebook, Whitmer will post crazy things here in Michigan about, you know, what she's doing to help people, et cetera, and then she's getting blasted. She's getting blown up in the comments. It really is something to watch. This shows you how unpopular she is to this day. Getting blasted. Embarrassing children, the most important, yada, yada, yada. Let's see. Give them the break and give them a hand. Oh, they want to replace. Look at this. Her and Mayor Pete with a sign that looks kind of like a Trump sign on there. Isn't that interesting? Her and Mayor Pete out there trying to replace, spending $105 million to replace a section of I-375 in Detroit because they said the road was racist. It's just crazy. Now, I am seeing a lack of a certain post that I was seeing just the other day online. Maybe they're starting to take the unpopular posts down. It's really interesting. Let's just look in. Looks like they're taking the unpopular post down, and they're taking anybody down that makes a comment that is negative. It's just amazing. Now, you know what they can't fix unless Facebook is in on it? Look at the laughs. That's a good question. How many different people? Oh, yeah. Lots of laughs on these. Book is at it again. When you go into these, you have to look at these comments, and I'll save some for next time so we can actually pull them out and you can really look at what people are having to deal with. She's not popular, and neither is Biden. In fact, she's riding with Biden. You remember, riding with Biden, now she's hiding from Biden because nobody wants to campaign with the guy. His ratings are just so poor.
Of course, what hovers all overall.
Take a look at the latest from PMSNBC, Steve Kornacki.
Of course, what hovers over all of this, though, is, again, the economy. You saw the Republican advantage on the economy. And when you ask this question about Joe Biden, the effect his policies have had in the economy, a 2-to-1 margin, folks saying it's more hurt the economy than help the economy.
2-to-1 say the things that this guy has done screwed us up, have hurt it more than they've helped it. 2-to-1. They want you to believe that this guy got more votes than anyone else in the history of the country. That's what they want you to believe. I know. None of it makes sense. You can't make any of that make sense, folks. All the while, Gavin Newsom is out there signing some sweeping new climate measures into place. Gruesome Newsom out in California. The White House released its first ever plan for crypto regulation. I'm going to find a crypto expert, somebody who can really weigh in on this stuff, and we're going to dig into it. because I think this is something we're going to have to pay closer attention to, a digital currency, because this is the way we're headed. This is where we're going. In fact, a lot of the censorship, a lot of the issues that you and I see on a daily basis, this stuff becomes permanent. They can just turn you on and turn you off based upon what you say, what you do, and how you those crazy MAGA extremists. We could just turn them off. We could fix the glitch. It's just that simple. Then you're using the digital currencies. Folks, I want to remind you, no matter what we face, no matter how crazy the times may seem, how upside down everything is, you're not alone. God is still on the throne. And folks, that's where my peace, my hope comes from. It's not in a party. It's not in a person or politician. It's in no man. My hope comes from God. And I hope you would join us as we continue the conversation. Places like Locals, I'll post our after show comments, everything that we do, the stack, links, videos, the things that I talked about during the entire show. I posted over on Locals. Lots of folks are loving it. Locals fans, you can actually get over there and watch my behind the scenes from last night. We did a live last night. We'll do more of those. You can catch those over on Locals. JustinBarclay.com/locals. Thanks to you for everything you do. Sharing these stories, sharing what we're talking about, helping us get the word out. You make this possible. Make it a great day, folks. God bless.